Ever wondered how the rent of a building is determined? Well, it's not as simple as pulling a number out of thin air. In fact, it's a complex process that takes into account a multitude of factors. This is where the Rent Control Court steps in. This judicial body is tasked with the responsibility of determining the fair rent of a building. To do this, they consider everything from the local rent for comparable housing to the building's construction style. They examine the decrease in purchasing power due to inflation and the fluctuations in the local cost of living index since the lease's inception. The court also looks at the demand for housing and the building's availability in the neighborhood, as well as the going rate for comparable housing. Beyond that, the building's unique amenities, whether it's residential or non-residential, and even the building's annual rental value at the time an application for fair rent is submitted, all come into play. Let's delve deeper into each of these factors to understand how they impact the determination of fair rent. First off, the local rent for comparable housing plays a crucial role. When determining fair rent, the Rent Control Court scrutinizes the prices of similar properties in the vicinity. This ensures that the rent being charged is in line with the regional market rates, thus promoting a level playing field for both tenants and landlords. But that's not all. The court also takes into account economic factors that influence the value of money. For instance, the decrease in the purchasing power of money due to inflation is a key consideration. This is because inflation can erode the value of rent, making it less beneficial for the landlord over time. Another important factor is the fluctuations in the local cost of living index since the lease's inception. If the cost of living has spiked, the court may consider adjusting the rent to reflect these changes. The economic climate and local rent prices form the foundation of the fair rent calculation. Beyond economics, property specifics also weigh heavily on fair rent. Let's delve into the world of demand, availability, and construction style. Imagine a high-demand neighborhood, bustling with activity. Now, imagine a building available for rent right in the heart of it. High demand coupled with limited availability can drive rental prices up. On the other hand, if a building is located in a less desirable area with plenty of vacant properties, rental prices may be significantly lower. Now let's talk construction style. A building's construction style can greatly influence its rental price. A modern, well-designed building may fetch a higher rent than an older, less appealing one. Does the building have a traditional charm or a cutting-edge design? These factors can significantly impact the rent. The uniqueness or standard of a building's amenities can tip the scales in determining the fair rent. So it's not just about location, but also about what the building itself has to offer. But there's more to consider, like the building's purpose and its annual rental value. Now, the purpose of a building, whether it's residential or non-residential, can have a significant impact on the rent. A residential property, for instance, may command a different rent compared to a commercial one, given the different demands and usage patterns associated with each. Let's not forget the annual rental value either. This is the estimated amount that a landlord could reasonably expect to earn from the property in a year if it was rented out. When an application for fair rent is submitted, the Rent Control Court will also take this into account. The court considers the annual rental value at this specific point in time, not a past or future projection. Through this comprehensive examination, the court ensures that the rent set is not just fair for one party, but equitable for both landlord and tenant. Even municipal modifications can sway the determination of fair rent. Finally, the Rent Control Court reviews municipal tax changes and utility costs. Now, you're probably wondering, how do these factors play into determining fair rent? Well, let's take a closer look. When municipal taxes rise or when a new tax is imposed, it can significantly increase the cost of maintaining a property. These increased costs are often passed on to the tenant in the form of higher rent. Similarly, Increases in the cess rate, which is a kind of tax levied for specific services like water or electricity, can also lead to increased rent. For example, if the cost of water or electricity goes up, the landlord may decide to adjust the rent accordingly to offset these additional expenses. So you see, these seemingly unrelated factors can have a direct impact on the fair rent of a property. To sum it up, determining fair rent involves analysis of local market conditions, the building's specifics, the purpose of the building, the annual rental value, and even municipal taxes and utility costs. It's a complex process, but understanding these factors can help you navigate it successfully.